What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, waters, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready-to-drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniel's, Crown Royal. And, of course, the pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. You're now joined by the Shakespeare of On3.com, Nate Bauer.
Oh, wow. You outdo yourself every time. I love it.
It's really part of the skill of the job.
Flattery. I like it.
You earned it. You're good. Okay. There have been some limited opportunities to get in and see camp. Probably more opportunities than really most other reporters get at other camps across the country.
Yeah.
What have been a couple of general impressions you've had, and then matching up your impressions with what James or the coaches have said?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's broad, right? I think to me, the topic of conversation that I've been interested in all summer is the receivers. And, surprise, surprise, right? Yeah. It's a group that visually looks different to me. And I would assume you feel the same. They are bigger. They appear to be more crisp. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's hard to put your finger on it other than the looks test, right? But by the looks test, yes, there are older guys who will pace the room for sure. But they've got some horses among the freshmen, the redshirt freshmen, just bigger guys that just kind of stand out. And so it's fine to see this stuff in preseason camp, and yes, it leaves an impression on you. It doesn't really answer the question that has needed to be answered for that group really all of last season and all of this season, which is, can they make tough catches with the game on the line? And that's what we're going to have to wait and see to find out.
Yeah, we won't know until they play, but right now it is a more professional presentation by the receivers than you've seen. In other words, how they do things and go about their work.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah. You also wrote about Darius Dixon. It's one thing about Terry Smith. Terry Smith, there is no filter. He tells you exactly what he thinks and why he thinks it, and he doesn't hold that back about things, and that includes Darius Dixon.
Yeah, he is among the better interviews that Penn State has on that coaching staff. And look, and it's not as though this is completely out of the blue. I think throughout the winter workouts and in the spring practice, there were some rumblings that this kid belongs, right? Coming from Mater Dei High School, He's got that pedigree, but I'm not sure anyone expected him to assert himself to this level this quickly. And, I'm paraphrasing here. I don't have the quote in front of me, but Terry basically said, look, this is a really strong room with veteran players, and he has demonstrated that he belongs in every sense. And he will play this year. He's going to play special teams, right? Justin Lustig said that I don't want to say, again, paraphrasing, but he could probably start on 2 or 3 different special teams units. So all signs are kind of pointing in that direction that Dixon is in a very crowded room, so he's not going to start. But could he be a pretty key piece of the depth with Kenny Woosley? Yeah, absolutely.
No, good. The bottom line is, with today's nickel situation, so many teams playing nickel dime and so forth, you need a minimum of 10 defensive backs.
Yep.
Right? And you can go 4 safeties, 6 corners, 5 safeties, 5 corners because of the nickel situation. I mean, that's what you need today. And it sounds like they think he's one of those 10 guys.
Yep, I think absolutely. And honestly, this is kind of in combination with stuff that Jim Knowles has said, but just that cornerbacks room in general just appears to be so strong for this team this season. It is a key piece of what Jim Knowles likes to do anyway. It's that trust factor, right? If you think that you can rely on your corners to not get beat over their heads, you can do so many other things with your defense to win, right? And
right.
It's kind of the cornerstone. It's that keystone foundation of how he wants the defense to operate and how he can make the lives of offensive coordinators opposite him as miserable as possible.
How have you found the conversations with Jim Knowles to be?
Great. I don't know about you. I think that he has this the look of a grizzled mystery man, and I think that that's true to a certain extent. James Franklin has talked about he's kind of a man of few words. I have not really found that to be the case. I think that he's been honest and engaging. I had a great off-season interview with him over the summer, and then I was able to sit down with him for 5 or 6 minutes at preseason media day a couple of weekends ago. I have been nothing short of, it just didn't match my expectations. I was anticipating a tough interview where it would be difficult to kind of get answers out of him, not in the sense of like, is he, he's going to give up top secret information and I'm trying to do gotcha moments. It's not that at all. It's simply, hey, will he elaborate if you push him to? And yeah, the answer is yes, he will. I got a lot of good things to say about Jim Knowles.
And so do the players. I mean, I know you've talked to the players about Jim. I mean, you want to talk about buying into a guy. They bought into him.
Yeah, no, totally. And look, when you win a national championship the year prior, it'll do that, right? That kind of snaps your head at attention real quick. And I think that there are some differences. There's some stuff that he's going to do that's not going to be the same as Tom Allen. Personality-wise, there's some big differences that I think are very well received, right, for Penn State and the players. It's a culture change a little bit, but I think it's one that Penn State's defensive players have very much gravitated toward. They look, there's a gravitas to having that on your resume that you just won a national championship last season with the best defense in the country, with the number 1 ranked defense. Mm-hmm. And so for a Penn State group that was top 10 already and lost Abdul Carter, right? You lose Kobe King, you lose Jalen Reed, you lose KJ Winston. Obviously, he wasn't as big a part of the conversation by the time the season got going and he got hurt. But there is a mentality of, hey, this does not have to be a rebuild for a defense that was already really good last season, despite some of the losses in personnel.
How important is it to you that there appears to be a collaborative effect between Jim and Andy Koltonicki?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's very important. I think that some of the stuff, I don't know if you watched, I'm sure you did, the BTN, their campus tour last week stopped in Penn State. The conversation, less with Koltonicki, but the one with Drew Aller, I thought was very enlightening about what the feedback that Drew got from Koltonicki, and not just Koltonicki, but the analysts that came with him, to understand what his strengths are, yes, and the things that they were worried about defensively for Ohio State last season, but also the things that they knew he wouldn't do. And the next question to him was, okay, what are some of the areas, right? What are the things that you feel like you need to be better at in those situations? And he immediately pointed out his willingness to take shots, to get on the field with the ball. And yes, part of that was a symptom of, he didn't say it, but I'll say it, not a great chemistry with his wideouts, not a trust factor with his wideouts, and one that I'll say was probably not earned. Right? They didn't deserve that trust. You saw that in those elements or in those situations where they came up short on his behalf, and he kind of got pegged as the guy who made the mistakes. But talking about that and understanding from Knowles' perspective, hey, these are things that when you don't have to worry about it as a defense, it changes things, right? It allowed Penn State, it allowed Ohio State to completely shut down Penn State's run. If you look back last season, it's wild to me. I just had a very long conversation in our message boards at Blue White Illustrated over the weekend about Trey Wallace. And, he's become a little bit of a boogeyman in that game specifically. What people aren't acknowledging is nobody played well in that game for Penn State. Nick Singleton had, I don't know, Steve, 18 yards, right? Right. Katron Allen did not play well in that game. Katron was a little dinged up in that game. Tyler Warren was okay, but they mostly shut him down. Drew didn't play that well. And Andy Koltonicki did not call his best game in that circumstance. So there is a wide range of not just responsibility, but growth opportunity that I think Penn State has really leaned into to understand from Jim Knowles' perspective. Hey, Ohio State had good players. No argument there. But in that matchup, there were things that Penn State did and didn't do that can change this season now that they have a little bit better understanding of how they got scouted. Yet,
on the day where the offense, as you mentioned, had a bunch of guys struggling, they were 6 yards away from winning it down the 3-yard line twice. And even though I know that essentially you need a core group of 50 players to get this done because it's a long season, the bottom line is you're still going to need your stars to be the stars in the games that you're talking about. And that's what you need. You need your stars to be – they're stars for a reason. That means in the biggest moments they've got to show up.
And I'll go so far as to say that includes Koltonicki, right? He is a star. He is a star in the coaching profession. They scored 6 points offensively in that game, right? Because the other 7 was a pick six. So they stalled out offensively twice from the 4-yard line, right? They didn't get any points off of those. And they had 2 other great scoring opportunities that ended in field goals. So and again, I mean, I'll even take it to the Notre Dame game, right? The misconnection, not just the misconnection between Singleton and Drew Allard, but just to have the ball, to have those possessions in those situations, you have to capitalize. That's all there is to it. There's no sugarcoating it. They know that, right? And to have had some of those experiences now in their back pocket, I think it will be very interesting, to say the least, to see how they respond in some of those moments this coming season. Because the reality is, they stepped up in other games in ways that aren't being acknowledged. Fourth downs at Southern Cal, Minnesota, the 6-minute holding the ball at the end of the game to run out the clock. Wisconsin, right? Things that they were under the gun offensively and got it done. They just weren't able to do it in those two games, and that's kind of how everybody's going to remember last season.
Right. What do you think are the important points that have to happen between now and about 7 or 8 days from now, when camp is officially over and transitions into a game week thought, with extra game practices?
Yeah, I think there are some position battles to be resolved that I think will be resolved, even if they're not acknowledged as being resolved. Just kind of some clarity there. I know there are some guys that are still bouncing back from injury and working through some stuff. So that continuation of that process. The offensive line is interesting to me. Again, that BTN clip showed it. They've done some tinkering there, right? At least an experiment.
Yeah.
To in terms of the guys that they've got and what sides they're on and what positions they're playing. I mean, there's a lot of intentionality to the flexibility that they have on the offensive line. I still think that when push comes to shove, they're going to throw out the line that everybody expects them to throw out, right? Ruggier right tackle, Donka at right guard, Dawkins at center, obviously. So I do think that there are still a few things that need to be resolved over the next week or so before they do get into that game week. But I think vibes-wise, and I would guess that you would agree with this, I think vibes-wise, this is a pretty confident team and a pretty confident program that feels pretty good about where they're at right now. And one addendum to that, I think they're also being very, very cautious and very intentional about rep counts and how they're spending this camp, right? They've got a lot of guys that they know they can't afford to lose, and there is no risk of that based on the situations that they're putting them into in preseason camp.
But there's also the realistically, they've got guys that are getting maybe those rep counts because they've played so many games, they know what they're doing. Totally. And honestly, there's more to learn about the guys behind them that do need to be resolved, right? You gotta have trust in your third running back. You don't need to know it. There's nothing to learn this preseason about Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. There is a ton to learn about who they're going to put the ball in that guy's hands after those two. And so I do think that there's a lot of value based on the situation that they have, that they already the quantities that they know already, and then the guys that they need to learn more from. Exactly. I mean, and that's where you are. Look, you pretty much have a pretty good feel as to who the top guys are. You have a pretty good feel who the next ones might be, but it doesn't mean that there's still not people vying to be in there and somebody could fall out of it. So that's where you are right now. Hey, Nate, appreciate it as always. It's not easy living up to the reputation of Shakespeare, yet you fulfill it.
Yeah, man. I'm just doing my best over here, Steve. But for covering Penn State football, I'll take it.
The Shakespeare of On3.com. Nate Bauer, sir, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Nate Bauer, On3.com. Half hour being brought to you by Brewers Outlet. Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready-to-drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniels, Crown Royal. Pickle Bar, led by my 2 personal favorites, the Barrels and the Dills, are indeed second to none. It's all at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
What's better than 0% financing on a new car? 0% plus additional discounts on a new car from Sunbury Motors Hyundai. Be a hero with zero. There's 0% APR financing for up to 60 months plus an additional $2,250 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe SELs. There's also 0% APR financing for up to 60 months plus an additional $2,500 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Palisade Calligraphies. Sunbury Motors Hyundai has 3.99% APR financing for 72 months plus an additional $1,500 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Tucsons. Remember, all new Hyundais come with Hyundai Assurance and are backed by America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. What's better than 0% financing? 0 plus SMC discounts. Save thousands now only at Sunbury Motors Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motors studio, here's Steve Jones.
And Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Elmels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford Kia Hyundai, the best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. And a terrific service department. Inspections, quick lane, routine, difficult, they handle it all. At Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Now, the one thing I don't want to give the mistaken impression is that it's all settled, they're all done. No. Every day you have to go out and improve yourself as to whether you should be one of those in this group of 50 to 54. I'm just telling you the numbers I think they need. Those are the numbers I think they need to negotiate the season. And the group today may not be the same group as next week, but boy, at least it's trending in the direction I talked about. Is that fair, Todd? It's trending in that direction. How about that?
Yes.
Right. So I'm just saying the guys I'm talking about are trending in that direction. It doesn't mean they can't go on throwing a stinker today and suddenly somebody comes up and says, look at me, and they go and they look at them as time goes. Right? It's a better choice. But it's trending in the direction where I'm seeing some certain things right now through 10 practices where it's trending that way. Before we get to the Yankees, because this will turn into a rather entertaining segment tomorrow, I've got to give them credit for a multi-billion-dollar team. They really are not good. And then there's the Mets. Hey.
Oh, come on, man.
Okay, but I want to talk about, can I talk about Jen Pawol for a moment?
Yes.
Jen Pawol played softball at Hofstra. She then umpired softball. But she wanted more. And I think that's great. She wanted more. And because she wanted more, she got into the umpires group, going down to Florida, going to Arizona, and working. And I think it was about 16 or 17 she got in, and she umpired games here. She umpired games here at Medler Field, Lebrano Park. And I liked her. I thought she was good. There are a lot of guys and women, in that league I like. She was one of them. You're like, she's good. Okay? But it takes time to work your way up through the system. So she was working in the New York Penn League. She umpired games here. And I know, there are a bunch of people that have worked here that I thought were very good. And it's such a long road to get there. Where finally they get to Double-A, and they'd be back in Double-A, and they'd be back in Double-A. And I know some people that got out of it because they weren't moving up as fast as they thought they should. Or had hoped. How about that? It didn't move up as fast as they hoped. Because, look, I was asked about on Sirius XM about the guys in this conference announcing games and that they stay in their jobs so long, which we have all been extremely fortunate to be in our jobs as long as we've been in. All of us. In fact, I just got a text from Paul Keels at Ohio State, something he needs me to do next week. And umpires, they stay a long time. But she paid her dues and was patient, and she got there. And then she worked the doubleheader between the Braves and the Marlins on Saturday, and then yesterday she had the plate. And I'm not surprised. By all accounts, she did a great job. I mean, it's really, they'll say, well, it's made it easier for other women to get there. Probably, but you have to put in the massive amount of work that she put in, the massive amount of patience she had to make it and get there. Because I know there are guys that I think are really good. There are guys I think are really good. And they ran out of patience. You know what I mean? They said, I don't know, I got to get on with my life's work. Life's work. I can't keep doing this.
I would say that's probably the second hardest job to get to the big leagues in, other than announcer. I mean, there's less umpiring positions than there are player positions. Yeah. They're much fewer.
Yeah. And people stay for a long time. I mean, how long was Joe West an umpire?
Like 40 years? 44? Something like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, for example, we're all marveling. We all marvel at Clayton Kershaw. Look what he's doing at 38. Joe West was out there at what? Umpiring the game at what age? It wasn't 38.
Nah.
He was in the league at 38. So there isn't as much movement to open the doors for anybody, let alone Jen Pawol. And I give Jen Pawol paid her dues to get there. She worked and worked and worked and was patient. Probably. And the patience is as much as the work. All right, the Louisville series is over with. All right, now I got to go to Worcester. And, you know what I mean? It's a little different than saying, hey, I just finished up in Atlanta. Let's go to Baltimore. Yeah, so I give her a lot of credit. Now, as for your Mets,
I've been enduring some talking this weekend.
Yeah,
my brother's been sending stuff to me all weekend. They are really struggling right now.
yeah. Well, the starting pitching's killing him.
Yeah, well, it could be worse. Could be Yankees.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they're not hitting. I ran a story in Friday's paper for Saturday about how they're not hitting either. So when you're pitching struggling and you stop hitting, not good.
no, not good. It's not a good combination.
And hey, credit to the Brewers. I bet you could ask 20 people, and I bet how many? What's the percentage that guess that or know that the Brewers have the best record in baseball right now?
Yeah, I know. It is. The Brewers are well put together. They go about their business. They're in Milwaukee. They're not in New York or Los Angeles, so nobody knows about them. And they beat Los Angeles. They beat the Mets. I mean, they're beating everybody. And that's, that's, they're just really good. Their bullpen's really good. I mean, really good, as you know.
I think they're a little under the radar, but I mean, the Brewers have been really consistent since 2010, 2012. Yeah,
for a
like
while.
I mean,
they might not be a lot of credit.
They may not be the best team, but they're always in contention. They're always. That's one of the reasons I was excited David Stearns came to the Mets. You figure you give David Stearns some money, you might be able to figure things out. Or do a little more. How's that? He's already figured things out.
Yeah. Yeah.
My question is, are the Yankees delusional? Because they're still talking like they can turn this around, and man, they've been in this funk since the All-Star break, and I don't under. They're better than they're playing. How's that?
Well, they should be. I don't know. I mean, they should be. I mean, their pitching is good, not great. I think that they think. I think there are a couple of players in that team that, because they're on the Yankees, are overvalued. I'll give you an example. Like Jazz Chisholm.
I also think they totally misread Devin Williams' ability to pitch in New York.
Sure, they misread that. Plus Dominguez, okay? Dominguez is
another in a long list of overhyped top Yankees prospects. Going back to Ruben Rivera.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Here he is. And look, there's a pressure playing in New York, but he's got people around him that should take the pressure off of him. Just do my deal. I've got Aaron Judge. Just do my deal, and I've got, pick a guy. Right? Last year, was Juan Soto.
Yeah, but that's a guy that's heard since the day he was signed that he was going to be the next great Yankee. So even there's still a lot of. I'm sure there's still a lot of personal pressure.
Yeah. Oh no. There's always going to be personal pressure.
And and as soon as the Yankees signed him, when he was 15 or 16, he was supposed to be the next great Yankee. And I think he's never been as great as he was supposed to be at any level. And he's, he could could be a perfectly good baseball player somewhere else, but I just wonder if we're running into what was a guy that came from Cleveland that was supposed to be so good that never, the redhead, Clint Frazier. Yeah, I wonder if we're in that situation where, there's so much pressure playing in New York and they expect so much out of you that you never ever figure it out.
Right. And maybe they moved him too soon. I don't know. That's always the toughest part. Like we've been talking a lot of football today. The toughest part about evaluating a freshman, or really any player, is that is that am I playing them at just the right time? You'd rather play them a game too late than a game too early, or 2 games too late than 2 games too early.
Hey, I never want my my living to be determined on how I could predict how a 17-year-old's going to be at 19.
Tell me about it. But it's the same thing with the minor leagues.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, Roman Anthony is up and doing a really good job with the Red Sox, right? Right? They probably picked the right time to do it, but it was still a guessing game. Christian Campbell, for example, great spring training, great start in the regular season, but then tailed off, and he's been in the minors since. It's a tough, Bryson Stott, they did a great job timing him. Alec Bohm, the Phillies did a great job at timing him. But there's a long list of guys where the timing didn't work out.
I think people are wondering right now why Justin Crawford isn't up, and I wonder if the Phillies are waiting for the right time for that they don't think he's just quite ready yet.
Yeah, and that's the judgment you have to make. That's not an easy judgment. I mean, that's one of those, all right, I think the time is now. Then, then you find out if you're right. You find out if you're right. Now the Mets, I don't know what the answer to the Mets happens to be. I mean, their starting pitching needs to be better, but it's not like they don't have people that can't play. They got people who can play.
That was a question mark coming into the season, and that's the one part that they didn't spend a lot of money on. I mean, it was going well, and you would think, they got Manaea back, and it was trending to be better, but it's just been a struggle since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And then Soto was the only one that has been hitting for a while.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be up in Williamsport in what, less than 2 weeks?
Yeah, because the series kicks off Wednesday.
This week?
Yeah. Parade's tonight, I think.
Okay, so I'm talking about when the Mets go to Williamsport.
Yeah, so the Little League World Series starts Wednesday. So it should be Sunday, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be Sunday.
It'll be a week from yesterday.
Yeah. So Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez and the Mariners will be here, and the Mariners are playing great. Ooh. Okay, Raleigh now has 45 home runs. Rodriguez is a 2020 guy again, and their pitching's excellent. Then there are the Mets. Right? So Raleigh's going to be excited to be there. Rodriguez is going to be excited to be there because they're never really on the national stage. We just have to judge whether Juan Soto has any interest. Uh-huh. He was just there last year.
I can't imagine those kids aren't going to be geeked to meet Cal Raleigh this year.
Well, you remember, these are all new kids, right? So they're going to be geeked to meet all of them.
Well, I know, but
I can't wait to meet Pete Alonso. I can't wait to meet Juan Soto because Juan Soto may have been there last year, but these kids weren't there last year.
I just mean Big Dumper's the folk hero for this season. How's that?
Yeah, and at 45 home runs.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Almost the most impressive thing was, did you see he threw out the Simpson guy for the Rays on an off-speed pitch this weekend, too?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be like Billy Hamilton Redux.
Jeez.
Hopefully he hits better than Billy ever did, but he's supposed to be as fast as him.
Wow. Because right now, I mean, the Mariners are playing really well. And ironically, have spent exponentially less money than the Yankees. They might be better at talent evaluation.
Well, they did release Eugenio Suarez and then have to trade for him to bring him back 18 months later.
I didn't say it was perfect.
Which is better than the Twins, which traded their big free agent signing for a guy that was signed off the free agent market in May from Double-A. So,
yeah, yeah. 26 guys there on Monday, 15 left on Friday. Oh, goodness gracious. But the two New York teams, now look, the Mets, I feel like the Mets spent more money than the Yankees. Would that be fair?
Yes, it'd be quite fair.
Yeah. They spent more money. You have to be smart about where you spend your money. I'll give you an example. I know he didn't have a great game yesterday. It doesn't matter because I think he's had a very good season. But Max Fried, for example, the Yankees spent money on him, and I think in a relative baseball sense, it's money well spent. Okay? I mean, there's no way I would have spent the kind of money the Mets did on Juan Soto. And it has zero to do, Todd, at all with Juan Soto's talent. That has nothing to do with it. I just wouldn't have spent that money on anybody. I wouldn't have spent it on Shohei Ohtani. If I were the Dodgers, I wouldn't have spent the money on Shohei Ohtani. Right? Because I just don't think. To me, it's not worth it to spend. Like, it's worth it to spend money on Juan Soto. It's worth it to spend money on Shohei Ohtani, but not as much money as the Mets and the Dodgers did, respectively. Just me. That's me.
They're underpaid for what they bring to the team and what they make for the owners. Every professional athlete is underpaid for the money that they make for the league and for the owners.
Are you Juan Soto's agent?
I am not. But I am not pro-owner.
I'm not pro-owner either, but I'm pro at least breaking even.
Accounting tricks.
Accounting tricks. Fair. But I do think in accounting, there's still two sheets of paper. There's revenue and expenses, which are the bottom lines. Is it worth it to spend a lot? Let's just, I'm not picking on the guy. He's a great talent, Juan Soto. Okay, so let's just say him, for example. Is it worth it to raise ticket prices and parking where maybe attendance goes down because they're like, I don't know, instead of going to 3 games, I think I can only go to 2?
Has teams ever lost games and their attendance gone down? Or have teams ever put out a winning product and their attendance gone down?
Sometimes, yeah.
Like somebody like the Rays maybe, but the Mets attendance isn't going to go down if they win games.
Well, it's a market of 7 million. 10 million Metro.
Plus they got out. Plus they're the second team in the market too.
And I agree with those points. But you're asking, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. But because it's expensive to live in New York.
Hey, they tell me the Pirates lose money too.
The Pirates actually don't lose money.
Bob Nutting is in the top 10 among wealth and Major League Baseball owners.
I know. And the Pirates don't lose money as a team. They actually have had several years, Todd, where they made money.
They've been arguing all season about this in the Pittsburgh media. DK Sports did a story
that they're losing money. Well, they probably might be now.
And then John and a couple other guys are pointed out that it's accounting tricks
But you want to know why they made some money in other years? I remember the Balco settlement.
Yes.
Every team got $50 million out of the Balco settlement. Well, their bottom lines are all going to be better because of it. Right? Because they ended up with that money.
He's pocketing his revenue-sharing money, too.
He pockets his revenue-sharing money. They don't have the same kind of... Their TV deal is way better, except as time has gone, I don't know, for example... if what their TV deal is now compared to what it used to be.
Nah, man, that channel's on its third different name in 4 years, I think.
Right, well, because a lot of Major League Baseball teams, the regional sports networks went down. That's where everybody was counting on their money. So between luxury suites, tickets, parking, your regional sports network, like the Mets do have SMY, that's huge. The Yankees have Yes, that's huge. But what are there, at least, 10, 11 teams where Major League Baseball is actually the one running their TV network?